Hello everyone, my name is Sweets and today we're making crispy potato chips. So let's get started. For these potato chips you want to use a starchy potato like Russets. Yukon Gold works as well. Using starchy potatoes are ideal for chips because they contain less moisture and absorb oil more effectively. Rinse your potatoes and start setting up your cutting board. Make sure to put a damp paper towel under your board to prevent it from slipping. Now let's cut the ends off of our potatoes so that we can start with a flat edge when slicing our chips. Once the ends are cut, remove your cutting board and grab a medium to large size bowl depending on the amount of chips you are making, filled with cold water. Next, let's grab a mandolin and our potatoes. Ben Reiner is the official one you would see in like every restaurant because of the reliability. Slice your potatoes as thin as you can. I prefer a slightly thicker chip for that crunch factor. Once all is sliced, give it a good little mix and set it to the side. Let's return to our cutting board and start prepping our other ingredients. I decided to do an interesting flavor today. I'm going to start off by chopping up some fresh parsley. For my interesting flavor, I'm thinking of making something that would come off as a fine wine and cheese type of meal, but on a potato chip. Lately, I've been obsessing with creating my own salt crystals at home and have made a Cabernet flaky salt. Here's what the crystals look like. So for this chip, I'm thinking some Parmigiano Reggiano for our cheese and my homemade Cabernet salt for our wine. The two go hand in hand with bringing each other's flavors out. Next, we're going to check on our potato chips, but first let's clean up our workstation. If anything is enforced the most in a professional kitchen, it would be keeping your station clean. Now as you can see, the water is clear, the chips have firmed up and bent into the shape that we all are familiar with. It holds its form when holding it like this. Compare the starch you're removing off these potatoes to a barrier. If it's not removed and you try to fry these, the starch will prevent the moisture from being released from the potatoes during the frying stage and instead yield soft and mushy chips. I'm not sure if you can see this on camera, but all of the starch has settled to the bottom of the bowl. Now let's continue getting our mise en place in order, starting with our Parmigiano Reggiano. When buying this, you want to look for the real stuff imported from Italy. It should have writing on the rind. When thinking of how much to grate, consider how cheesy you want your chips to be, as well as how many chips you're making. Today I am only making 1 potato's worth of chips. Our next ingredient would be the vibrant Cabernet flaky salt. Now to recap our mise en place, we have our salt, cheese, and parsley. We are also using white truffle oil. I completely forgot to show you guys the base seasoning for the chips. It's composed of 2 parts garlic powder and 1 part kosher salt. To a pot of water, add 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt and bring to a boil. Make sure to mix. This method is going to help get light and crispy potato chips that would be more comparable to store-bought chips. If you're into dark, russet kettle style chips that look like this, then that's a separate video. Leave a comment if you'd be interested in seeing that. Once the water comes to a boil, blanch your potatoes for exactly 2 minutes. The baking soda causes the remaining starches to be released, which will then promote the crispiness of the chip when fried. The blanch helps by par cooking the potatoes, so when it is fried, the center isn't left soggy. Once the 2 minutes is up, remove the potatoes and place into an ice bath immediately to stop the cooking process. The blanch is going to help cause the chips to become translucent. Next, fill a pot with about 2 inches of vegetable oil and heat it up to 350 degrees. As the oil is heating, remove your potatoes from the ice water and place between 2 layers of paper towel or kitchen towel to pat dry and remove excess moisture before frying. In batches, fry the chips till golden brown. You'll know when they're done based on color and when you see that bubbling is at a minimum compared to the vigorous bubbling when added to the oil. Remove the chips from the oil straight into a bowl and immediately drizzle with some truffle oil and add the garlic seasoning and parsley. Toss until well coated. With all the smells going on, you're going to want to try out one of these even without the cheese. That was an amazing chip. Now all that's left is my favorite part, the plating. Grab your serving dish of choice and place your chips in it. To make it extra fancy, make sure you really heap it on. You want it tall, not wide in appearance. Sprinkle a little more parsley and grate a little bit more Parmesan, and then of course Salt Bae it up for the flex. And there you have it. Thanks everyone for joining me on this episode. Every sub and like helps the channel so much, so be sure to smash those buttons for future content. See you guys next time.